Hi friends, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. So I want to pick up a series that I started a super long time ago and actually try to get a little more active doing it for several reasons. Number one, my ephemera bin of things that I, pre-made ephemera that I like to have handy. It's like so depleted and so I need to start building it back up again. Also, I've been enjoying watching videos that are like inspired by things. Like I've been watching, I believe Shabby Dabby Doodah and 49 Dragonflies have both covered the Pinterest inspired series, and they do videos from time to time doing that kind of thing, and I've considered also doing that as well, which I'll probably do at some point because I like that idea too. But I also feel a little bit like I want to use the things that I have that I bought with intention to, be inspired by or to use. So this series is the Use Your Books series. So this is about using up books and magazines, not just using like the actual paper, but using what's inside them. So I've added all these tabs here. This is everything that I would like to do that's in this one magazine. And this is a Somerset Studio that I got at a thrift store from, what year? I don't know. Where is it going to tell me that? May, June 2014. So this is a mixed media art book magazine. And so what I want to do today, this is actually like not even a whole tutorial or anything. It was just this image that kind of grabbed me about what would have been the June 1st 2014 issue, which I don't know if I have, I never checked. I just like this issue, this image here. I see this like stitching, and they're talking about like how this upcoming issue is going to be like sewing, Sew Somerset. And so it's about creative stitching, and this is a piece by Ellen Wilson, and I just got a little bit like inspired to want to create something that uses a technique sort of like this. So that being said, let's get started. So I grabbed this image that I want to use as like my black and white image, like this lady with the umbrella, and it's just this beautiful woman, and there's sort of like embroidery behind her, and she's in front of this really interesting and intricate kind of background. I don't have her info. I pulled her out of this book, A World of Movies, 70 Years of Film History by Richard Lawton. Actually, I do have her info. It's Anna May Wong. She was one of the most photographed women in Hollywood. Her stunning Oriental beauty, I would say Asian beauty nowadays, led many famous photographers, notably Cecil Beaton and Edward Steichen, to seek her as a model. Unfortunately, she lived at a time when Asian people were not considered box office, and as a result, her career was limited to supporting roles. So I think that's honestly still something that we're challenged with in these times, sad and frustrating as that can be. But she's gorgeous, and I really like her. She's so interesting. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to create like a basis for the size of the piece that I'm going to create. So I grabbed this. This is a piece of boiled book that I made with sumac leaves. So I think what I want to make is sort of like a large journal card. So I'm going to, I think, just maybe break this down to a reasonable size here. This paper. Just going to go to here. And then maybe we'll say journal card about a little bigger. I'll be a little more generous with this one. Okay, so that's what we'll use. So then we'll set this paper aside for another fun project. Okay, so now I need to size this image that's going to go on here. So I definitely want to get like a little bit of this like peacock tail looking embroidery in the background, and I'm going to cut it off here at where the top of this sort of sun-like shape is, and maybe about there, I think, and then maybe here. I don't want it to take up the whole card. Okay, that's good. So she's going to be what I stitch on to do this focal point. So I did pre-thread a needle here so that I could just get started. This is embroidery floss, and I've knotted the end. So, you know, what I saw here, this is very simple lines, right? We just see sort of like the umbrella and the handle of the umbrella, and then what looks like kind of a side stitch here that comes up. She did like a swirly rose, and then away she went. And there's some fabric and other things going on. So first, what I'd like to do is just get some embroidery done on the card itself, the image itself. So first I'm going to go with this kind of sun shape at the top here, and I'm just going to do a very, very simple kind of upside down like V type stitch. Oops, I've got to be a little careful because I think it's pretty easy to tear your paper. Okay, so there we go. So I'll just kind of quickly do this stitching, and maybe I will speed up a little bit. Okay, so now I've threaded the green, and what I want to do is go in here where there's kind of this peacock feather, and I think what I'm going to do is to try to just keep it simple. I need to tie a knot on the back here. There we go. This is kind of like a bit of a curved shape. But what I'm going to do is, I think, just try to, whoops, so we've got one line here. I think I'm going to come over a little bit and bring it back down again so that we have almost like a bit of a squared edge. And then again back through that same hole so that we're going to have sort of these shapes. So I will maybe overlap them a little bit too, to just give a little bit of an interesting sort of texture in that area. I'm not worrying at all about like messing up what's on the paper in terms of that, you know, peacock type feather image, because this is really just there to guide me, to give me an idea for my own inspiration for what I want to put in this spot on the paper. So I'm not looking to like exactly follow the lines. That would be a little hard to do anyways, to try to stitch that way. So I'm just going to make some fun overlapping patterns on this green section. So I will finish this up now. Okay, so now I've threaded the pink, and I think what I want to do with the pink is I want to come down here on her collar and make some kind of a fun like floral shape. So I'm going to do that with bullions. So to do bullions, you just wrap your thread several times around your needle. Bullions are not really a beginner stitch. If you haven't done them, I recommend practicing a little bit, probably on fabric, before going in on your paper here. And then just kind of bring it a little close here to the end of the needle. And then you just pop your needle in where you want the bullion to end. And this is going to be the ginger part here. So one thing I can say, like when I'm stitching bullions on fabric, I really want them to be super tight and neat. But right now, I don't actually mind if this comes out being a little messy, because there's a couple things to consider. One, I can't really pull as tightly as I would on fabric, but also I think it would be nice to make a bit of a bunchy, a bunched up texture of stitches if I can. I might need to, whoops, yeah, so I went all the way through the paper, so that's what we didn't want to happen. But you know, I share these things with you because like it's important to know that not everything works the first time. So I'm like choosing to do something far more complicated than what the brief was of this particular, you know, magazine, but I want to try again. I want to see if I can get this to work. So let's just we'll clip this off, and I might actually be able to come back and use it again as we do this. So we'll just thread the needle again, and maybe I won't be as ambitious with my bullion, make it a little smaller than like the 20 some stitches I think I wrapped. So I'm just going to tie my knot here. Now don't worry, like if you do tear your paper a little, you're going to be gluing it down onto another piece of paper, so don't worry. It's like, unless you really damage, you know, the face or something, like I don't really feel like it's anything to panic about. Okay, so I'll start a new hole, and then let's go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's just try 10. I'll do half of what I did before. I'm going to bring it a little closer here. Oh, I lost it, the hole. This is definitely challenging. You know what I think I'll do is this. So I'll stitch through the back of the paper, and then I'll go through again. I'm going to create a little bit of like a base of regular stitches, like so, that I can then connect my more complex stitches to. So we'll do this, and we'll go through those holes that we made, make another hole or two here and there, and we'll just kind of connect this together a little bit. Now another thing is, if you do make too many holes, you could actually just glue some more paper right on the back, and you'd have, you know, a new base to work with. So again, not a problem. So did I trap my end in the back? I think I did. No, I didn't. There it is. Okay, so now let's try to do our bullion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll do 10 stitches. That's not too aggressive. And then instead of going through the paper, I'm actually going to go through the threads. That's easier. There we go. So see that? Now I'm going to grab the end of the bullion, the other end, and I'm just going to stitch through again. So now we're getting something a little more floral shaped. Let's try to do another bullion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then I'll try to go through this again, through the loop in the stitches. There we go. And then we'll come down and we'll grab the end again of the other bullion and pull it on through the hole. Okay, so that's super cute. Now I'm going to just go to the back here and just tie a knot here. That's fine. Okay, then I want to come back real briefly with the green. Okay, tie a knot here again. There we go. And then we'll come up and went through one of the same holes here. And then I'm going to just, I want to stitch like a bit of almost like foliage underneath. Just very simplistic. There we go. So that's fun, right? Then we'll come back in here. And one simple little knot's fine. If possible, try to not have a ton of bulk on the back, but it's not a big deal if you do. Don't worry. Nothing is a problem. Okay, so I'm going to call that sufficient for what I want to do with the stitching aspect of this, which is kind of like the, you know, the point really of this. Now, as you'll see here, she's done some nice like collaging with bits and bobs and some fabric in different places. Now, what she did was a whole page spread. What I'm doing is a piece of ephemera, so it's going to be slightly different. So I've got some bits and bobs that I grabbed just out of my stash of things, and I tried to think about like colors and how this whole thing would come together. So what I'm thinking is I want to use some of this fabric. And I think what I'll do is maybe just put a little bit here, and then also I want to think about, I'm going to put the nice leaves on the back because that will be visible as writing space once, you know, we get this all put down. If I were to use it on the front, I would lose all those pretty leaves. I want the gray color, but I don't want the leaves to get lost. So then I want to put this bit of pink down here. And I have like some other things. I think I want to use a little bit of this technical drawing because I want this to be interesting. And I have some numbers here, so put them here. And then we have a cutout of a building that's kind of interesting. Maybe like that. And then maybe we need something up here like this bit of foliage. Okay. We'll pull it up a little higher so that we can still see some leaves. I need to straighten this out a little. I'm actually going to cut it in half. And just use this one shorter piece. Okay. Okay, so then we'll straighten things out a little. I think I like that, how it looks. So let's just maybe try to get started, and we'll glue a few things down so that we don't lose the whole composition. So I will start with the fabric, and in this case this is just cotton fabric, and I'm just going to use my glue stick. This glue stick is actually really good with holding onto fabric. I don't think I need a heavier glue than what I'm using. Then we'll glue down this little bit here. And then I might come in with a bit of ink because I want this to look a little vintagey. So we'll just kind of grunge that up a little bit. Okay, so then start with this, I think. I'm just going to lay my picture back down where I had it so I can get an idea of how far I want this to go. Think about not quite to the edge, a little further inward. About here. Okay. I'm going to just make a few little changes to this. So first of all, I want this to be a little shorter and also straight because I tore it and it wasn't straight, but I feel like I want it to be straight for this. I just think it will look better. So let's get this out of the way. Then I'm going to just snip these threads. that I keep having hang over. And then what I want to do is I just want to actually glue this down. These threads, I want to just glue them down, because that will give us a little more security with our stitching and nothing will come loose. And I also am going to actually glue this right onto a piece of paper here to just trap it all in there, so as I'm working on my composition of this collage, I won't have to deal with like the threads popping out and bothering me in any way. And it gives it a little bit of a lift, like a little tiny bit. I don't want it to be too thick, but it's nice to have a little bit of a lift. There we go. Perfect. There, and it's not getting caught, which is nice. Now, I think I said I wanted to have this here, so let's do that. And then the number. This is just a stamped number that I did on some pink dyed paper. And then our building. Now let me just set this where I want it to go again, because I want this to just pop out the side a little bit and come down a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so I think now I want to glue the picture down, and then I still want to do a little bit more with this, I think. Right there. And it's going to press around different spots on the picture just to make sure that everything is stuck down well. There we go. Okay. So now we've got a lot going on, which is nice. I think I want to add another element of the fabric, because there were a couple fabric elements on the original, which I'll show you again in just one second. And I want to overlap here a little bit. So see, there was fabric over here, but then it looks like over here too. Well, that might have been on the other spread, I'm not sure, but I just think it adds to have a little bit more. And then I've got this little bit of blue construction paper that I might add. Actually, I might just tear it. Yeah, we'll add a little blue down there. That's fun. You know, it's just kind of continuing to like add these little bits and layers, and it makes it a little more interesting. So then I'm going to take a little washi tape. Going to tear it in half into like 2 pieces, and this has a little bit of a pink undertone to it, and I think that will look good here and maybe on over here. Okay, so then the last thing I think I want to do is add some kind of a meaningful word snippet. So let's grab a word snippet from in here, my endless amount of word snippets here. That's an idea. Just gonna look at a few. I'm not gonna take a super long time. This is always like something I should try to do ahead of time, and I never do. I always forget to like choose the words, even though that's probably like the hardest part of all of this. I'm also like super indecisive. I always feel like, oh, I've got to find the most perfect thing. That's okay. No one's in a rush, right? We're just relaxing here. Well, I am. Who knows what you have to do today? There's so many things that are nature related that, like, when I'm trying to do something that's like a little random, I struggle to find something that's not all nature-y, because I'm a little bit of a nature nut. Or it's like something kind of like darker. I don't know. Okay. I'm going to use this, Patient as a Candle Flame. That just sounds really interesting and like kind of mysterious. So I'm going to put that here. And then we're going to come in with a bit of ink, definitely to get rid of the stark whiteness here. And I'm going to do the same thing with the technical drawing, the building. I just want to give like an overall a little bit of like vintage photo to this. So yeah, I think I feel pretty good about this now. So let's take a look at the brief kind of, and then take a look at what I created. And I know that, like, you know, in a couple other videos that I saw, I think Barbara, she sort of says like, this is the stage where you don't compare your work. But I'm actually kind of okay with comparing my work. I feel like I like what I did. I think I did a little bit, you know, different work than what I'm seeing here, and I'm actually quite happy about it. So that was my use your books for today. So go out there and find yourself some books and magazines that you bought for this purpose, and maybe leaf through them. Find yourself the things that you want to do in these magazines and do them. So now we have a nice big journal card, and I have one more thing in my box of pre-made ephemera that I can tuck into journals or send out in happy mails. So thank you again for hanging out with me, and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye for now.